I know y'all say what everybody says. But y'all already told the story. So y'all made it easier with this story.
And we are happy to have our pastor back.
So we are ready now to go on. Are we already on? Praise God. We thank God. Good Resurrection Sunday morning to those of you who are now joining us through our virtual spaces. We wish you were here. You missing it. You miss it. You just don't know. There is something about being together with the saints in the presence of the Lord that allows us to feel God's heart. I'm telling you, worship is not a spectator sport. You need to be here. But anyway, we thank you for coming and sharing with us this morning as we share what God has shared with us. He is a good God. And so we want to get right into the word today. I'm sure you all have already heard the story, so we're going to go to the Gospel of John. The Gospel of John, the 20th chapter, the Gospel of John. As you find it today, I want you all to know the Gospel writers each come from a different focus. Matthew comes from the focus, he wants us to realize that Jesus Christ is the King. He is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And so every time he talks to us, it's like, Queen Elizabeth, when you come and talk to the Queen, there's a different language, there's a different protocol, there's a way in which you approach royalty. And so Matthew talks to us from that type of perspective. He always wants you to know that Jesus is King. Mark is homeborn. That's the fifth ward brother. Mark is the one who speaks in the Aramaic. Mark wants you to understand the real language. So if somebody spit, Mark will tell you he spit. It's not like, and so he asked him, so God won't come out. No, that's not the way. Mark wants us to get it. And so he tells us precisely what happens and doesn't fix it up. And then there is Luke. Luke was a lay person. Luke was a physician. And he really wasn't there. What he felt it was his responsibility to make sure that somebody had a chronological account. And so he was the investigative reporter. And he wanted you to get it. And so he told the whole story to his buddy Theophilus. And he sent him the letter. And so we find in the Gospel of Luke the occasion that he has. And then he writes the Acts of the Apostles. That's Dr. Luke. And so he writes that one as well. I can't believe you go back and look at the beginning of the Acts of the Apostles, where he tried to tell Theophilus, I got some more to share with you. But John was different. John was the one that Jesus loved. John was the one who laid over on Jesus and said, hey, who betrayed you? Who's the one? Who's the one who betrayed you? John is the one who Mary was assigned to when Jesus was hanging on the cross, and he said, Mother, behold your son. Son, behold your mother. He made sure that his mother was being taken care of. He had a keen understanding that he was in the presence of the divine. And so let's look at scriptures that he wrote this morning in John, the 20th chapter. I won't put you long. I'm almost finishing. In John, the 20th chapter, the NIV, you'll find these words. Early in the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the entrance. So she came running to Simon, Peter, and the other disciples, the one Jesus loved, and said, they have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they put it. So Peter and the other disciples started for the tomb, and both were running, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. And he bent over and he looked in at the strips of linen lying there, but he didn't go in. And when Simon Peter came along behind him, he went straight into the tomb, and he saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as the cloth that had been wrapped around Jesus' head. The cloth was still lying in its place, separate from the linen. And finally, the other disciple who had reached the tomb first, he also went inside and he saw and believed. They still didn't understand from scripture that Jesus had to rise from the dead. Then the disciples went back to where they were staying. There's a lot to be told about this story of the resurrection. For these few moments this morning, I want to talk to you on the subject of not the only one. Not the only one. Sometimes we find ourselves in life in situations where we think that we're the only one that's going through something.
Amen.
We see our car break down in rush hour. We're trying to get somewhere on time, and now we're gonna be late, and we got to explain, and we got to go through all the. And I just didn't feel like being bothered with this today, and I could feel like, whoo, I'm the only one. So money I was expecting to come in didn't come in on time, and I got some bills that's waiting. So now I have to pay late fees because I didn't get it all in on time, and I'm not sure when it's coming. And now I don't know whether the mail person delivered it to the wrong house, and so I'm fretting and I'm worried about all of this. And sometimes I feel like if I be done, am I the only? I'm the only one. All right. I go to school and I'm trying to get my lessons, and everybody else is complaining and saying they don't want to do this, and the teacher asked them to do that. They don't want to do this and they don't want to do that. And I'm sitting here saying, I'm just trying to get my lessons. And so I want to do what they say and doing. And so I guess I'm not going to say anything because they'll be saying I'm one of the smart athletes, you know, one once I know, because I feel like I'm everybody else is going out and having fun. They going clubbing this weekend. Woo! Yeah. I'm not feeling that in my spirit. That's not really what I wanted to do. In fact, I just wanted to go to the movies and see the latest thing that came out. And so, you know, I don't really have a whole lot of friends because everybody else wants to do something else. I feel like I'm the only one. You know, some things cannot be done in a crowd. Some things cannot be done with everybody understanding why you do what you do. But I stopped by to tell you today that it only works when you are your authentic self. It only works when you are who God made you to be. You were formed before you were formed. But God already knew your assignment when you arrived here in the earth. And because of that, he already knew what he needed to put in you in order for you to operate that. So none of us gets to enjoy the treasure that is you until you act like your authentic self.
Amen.
And if it feels like you're the only one in the place where you are, it could be because you were the one we've been waiting for. Nothing wrong with being the only one. Well, let's look at the scriptures very quickly. Let's just see why this subject becomes so important to us. And Mary Magdalene, it always focuses. Mary Magdalene went to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the entrance. I could go into this long soliloquy about how they didn't know who was going to roll the stone away because it was big, and all they knew, the women knew there was an assignment. The assignment was to go and put spices and complete the burial of Jesus's body so that he got a proper burial, because it was late when they took him off from the cross and they took him to a borrowed tomb, and Joseph of Arimathea had to go and get permission to take him and put him there. And he had been joined by Nicodemus. Y'all remember Nick? Nick was the one who went by night as Jesus, because they were aristocrats, and because they were the ones that y'all know, they were aristocrats, and they were part of the Sanhedrin and the governing people for the whole church. And so they were for the whole temple. It would look good for them to be hanging out with those commoners who have been following behind Jesus and speaking some new stuff, talking about the kingdom of God is like this. So when Nick first went to Jesus, he was like, I don't want to be the only one. But Joseph of Arimathea also recognized that he was bold enough to go and ask for Jesus' body. But at any rate, it was buried late. And because it was so late, the sun was about to go down. And so the Sabbath was about to begin. And so they could not be caught after sundown doing work. Was it good that they should bury their friend properly? Oh yeah, it was a good thing. But their understanding was that would be work. And so they couldn't do that. See, some of us get caught up in the traditions and the culture that we are around, and sometimes we see good work that needs to be done, but we won't do it because we look around and it looks like I'm the only one. But if we recognize that it needs to be handled, why not you? Get up, go. You'll be surprised somebody might come on alongside you and help out. Joseph of Arimathea didn't wait, and then Nick came and helped him out, and they took the body of Jesus and found a new tomb that had not been used before, and that's where they laid it. But the women came to find out where it was, and they did what they could. They helped wrap what they could, and they put some spices on him, but it was buried and it wasn't complete. They put a separate cloth around his head, and they laid him lovingly on the tomb, on the stone altar that was inside the tomb, and they rolled the stone. Then they went home, and they knew that it would be the next day before they came. But Mary knew there was just something urgent about coming to check on Jesus and to finish. I gotta do this for the master. Nobody else knows the torment that I went through. I felt like the only one. There were demons that were after me, and I heard voices, and I couldn't function like I needed to function, and I always felt like the only one. Other folks looked at me and went the other way, but only him. The doctors couldn't help me. Now, my mama, my daddy couldn't help me, but there was something about this man, Jesus. He saw me. Yes. And so I got to go. I got to make sure that my friend who was killed for nothing, I got to make sure that he gets a proper burial. So Mary was bound and determined. She didn't know how it was all going to work out, but she knew she had to go. Somebody else out here today feels like I'm the only one. There's something about me. Everybody don't know my business, but there's something about me that people don't seem to want to hang out with me. Nobody else seems to be interested in doing it the way I do it. And so I feel like I'm the only one. John said Mary was the one that showed up, but he said several other times that the women. And so you go back and look, Dr. Luke in his research, remember that's the investigative report. He went back, he found out that, oh no, it's some other women. She didn't go by herself. You go back and look at it, he'll tell you what the women were. In Luke, Dr. Luke, the 24th chapter, 10th verse, he gives you the list, he gives you the lineup. When they came back from the tomb, they told all these things to 11. There you go, verse 10. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary, the mother of Jesus, of the mother of James, and others with them who told the apostles. So it was some other women who put the spice. Everybody's name is not recorded. You see, there wasn't the only one. Mary was not by herself. There were some others who also felt the urgency. But it takes one to go and move out and do what needs to be right. But sometimes the others don't have the courage. But if you're the one and you go, others will come alongside you. You don't have to be the only one. Well, let me get off of Mary. Let me leave her alone. Because y'all know the Easter, the resurrection story, right? Y'all remember, you know what happened. Let's move over to what happened afterwards. Let's look at Thomas. Y'all remember Thomas? Mm-hmm. Thomas was the one who was not where the rest of the folk were when Jesus showed up in his resurrection. They called Thomas the Didymus. That means he was a twin. And his twin wasn't there. And I don't know where Thomas was, but he wasn't in the room. And when Jesus showed up in Galilee and talked to the brothers, Thomas missed it. And so they told Thomas what happened, just like the women had told them that Jesus was risen from the dead. They tried to tell Thomas. And Thomas said, yeah. I saw him on the, yeah. Our Lord was stretched out on that cross. I saw him bleed. I saw him die. And now y'all trying to tell me I ain't going for it. I'm not going to believe it until I see him come out. Let me put my hand in his hand. Let me see that spear, where that spear went in from us. I'm not going for it. Y'all, I know I invested, my heart was in this thing. I thought we were getting ready to do something special. I thought we were going to change the world. He was our leader and I was all in. And if y'all, I might be the only one, but I'm not going. The reality is Thomas ain't the only one. How many of us don't believe? We can believe God for some things.
Amen.
And not for others. I know I'm right today. I'm going to down somebody's way.
Amen.
I can believe for God to help heal somebody. You see them get better. It's okay. They went to the doctor. They did, but the doctor did the right stuff for them and they got better and so forth. Thank you. The Lord is good. I can believe that God's going to give me this house that I've been wanting.
All right, then.
I believe the mortgage is going to be just right. Look at God. God will fix that thing up.
All right.
Send me the right people. Woo, I believe God. I believe God. He did it good. But on my job, all right, I'm going to wrap the hellhounds after me. And I look around and I look for some other saints who can stand up for what's right. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one. I'm the only one. Do you not believe that God has given you the power to speak a word against that which stands against him? Don't you know God can rise up in you and change that situation? Don't you know he has given you authority and power? Come on out there, open one, and put that oil on that doorway. Come on, act like hell out there, do that out there. But when you come up to this space and outside, it's not going to work.
Amen.
Do you not trust God to change the atmosphere because you arrived on the scene? Be bold. Be the only one. I remember when I worked in TDC, I was working in the health clinic, in the hospital at one of the units here on the south side. I'm not gonna call it across the airway. When I got in, everybody had colorful language. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The seminary, they told us if you don't have at least one or two cussing friends, you ain't doing something right. I have you two and all day long, that's what I heard. And it created my spirit. And one day I said, okay, I done had enough. Lord, I'm going in here and I'm cleaning house. I can't take it. I can't. If I have to be here, there's a reason that I'm here. It's a reason that this was the only job that was open when I moved to Texas. But I can't sit up in there and hear that all day. And so I went in with a different spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in and I started telling folks, all right, I'm putting out this cuss bucket. It's a cuss bucket right here. There's a big old tin bucket at Texas and the Stone. I said, every curse word is 25 cents. Every time I hear one, I'm gonna tell you, hit the bucket. 25 cents. How you gonna work in a prison? How do we expect for people to come out rehabbed and better than when they went in if we acting just like the streets?
Amen.
It's got to be different in here.
Yeah.
20, and so every time I heard it was 25 cents, hit the bucket, and they thought it was funny. And they put their quarter in. They put a dime and 2 dimes and a nickel. When they got funny, they go and count their pennies. And they put 25 pennies in. And I catch them and I say, hit the bucket. No, I paid. I don't care. Well, can I just wait till the end of the day and I can keep it? But something happened over time. They began to realize just how often they had colorful language.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take too long before they stopped cussing. I said, oh, suck it down. The Lord done stood up in this place. We going for some more. And you know, just when the Lord is doing a good thing, it's always going to try. All right. So one God decided to try. Big man. Oh, protect me. He's standing outside my door that day. Just cussing and carrying on. I said to myself, he didn't get the memo. Let me go tap. Oh, no. You can't stand outside my door cussing like that. We not happy. You're going to have to clean that up. I went back in my seat and continued. And he started cussing again. I went back. Bro, I've asked you. You can't do that. And sat outside my door. I know your job is to guard me today, but we can't have it like that. I went back to my seat. I'm in there writing charts. And he starts up again. And I said, okay, he just gonna do what he wanna do. Let me see if I can help him out. Let's put him somewhere where he can do that. So I got on the phone and I called him. See, sometimes you gotta be the only one. And I said, boy, I need your help. My assigned officer for the day has language that's way too colorful to stand outside my door today. And somebody else come in and take his place. Because I can't listen to this all day. I already asked him 3 times. He said there'll be no problem. That's no problem. And so in a few moments, someone else comes in. This is a good Christian brother, Hispanic brother. And he comes and he taps him and he say, man, you're going out to the furniture shop. Why I gotta go out to the furniture shop? It's hot out there. Now see, the hospital was air conditioned. The furniture shop was not. So he had to go out to the furniture shop. And he was ticked off and he looked at me and I said, I told you 3 times. And I said, so take your language and go on out in the heat. We'll be in the cool. And the rest is peaceful all day. Sometimes you gotta be the only one. And by the time I left there and left that assignment, people acted dignified. I had to talk to some folks about their dress. Some of the ladies who were there, this was a male prison. But who deputized me and put me in charge? That's what I want to know. Sometimes the Lord gives assignments, and the authority comes directly from Him. And so when you move and operate, you move in the Spirit of God. Let's get back to Thomas. Thomas wasn't, I didn't lose you. Thomas wasn't there. So when Thomas comes back, it's a whole week later. And Thomas was there, and Jesus showed up. And Jesus first thing he said, peace be with you, peace. When the Lord comes, He brings peace. When the Lord is settling and moving, He brings peace. When the Lord gives you an assignment that is like, what? What you want me to do? It is peaceful in your spirit because the Lord always goes before us. You are never not the only one. Because when you stand up, He'll stand up in you. And so Thomas is now looking at the Lord. And the Lord comes and He tells him, okay, man, I got you. Sorry, bro, man, come here. It's all over here. Put your hand right there. That's what you want to see my hand. Come on, reach out your hands and here it is. Put your finger in the side. And then He tells him, now stop doubting. Stop it. And believe. That's what the Lord says to us today. Stop doubting. He has the power. And He shared it with you. You're not the only one. Wherever you go, whenever you go, He goes with you. He goes before you. He is your right hand. He will guard you and protect you. But what He needs you to do is to take courage and to stand up. It's okay to be authentically who you are. Once you have felt the transforming work of God, you are not who you used to be, but He's transforming you into something brand new. Don't be afraid to operate in it and to take down authority as the Lord speaks to you. I'm almost finished. I just needed you to know today that you're not the only one. And for those who feel like your life is too dirty, and you feel like you've done too many things, if you have reached further than where God can reach you and find you, I want to recommend you to look at Peter. Peter was Jesus' road dog. The fisherman, rough, tough, cussing brother. Yeah, he was all in. He was all in. But when it really counted, he ain't like he ain't know Jesus. When he slipped in to where Jesus was in a trucked up trial, Peter stood beside the fire, warming himself in the cool of the night while they were doing some made up, trucked up trial with Jesus up there with power. He just had to be close by. Somebody said, "Oh, you one of them. You were with him, right?" No. But he probably had that Galilean accent. They knew what that. I know who it was. Somebody asked him again. He was probably dressed a little different. And he said, no, not me. I wasn't. Mm-mm. He realized that really wasn't his crowd. They probably recognized right away that he wasn't one of them, but he still, he's scared. By the third time, this woman said, no, no, I know you one that he cussed them. So I told you I wasn't one. And the cock crowed. He remembered Jesus' words. That before the cock crows, you shall deny 3 times. It's the same Peter that when he was told that Jesus was raised from the dead, came running to the tomb, was outrun by John, but when he got there, he now had the boldness. He went straight in and saw the folded up cloth and the linens. He saw them for himself. Can you imagine what was on his mind when he came out? What do I say to him when I see him? You thought you were the only one that got betrayed. You thought you were the only one that got dogged out. I told y'all it's coming down. You see? Folk you did stuff for, did everything for. You did all the right things. Took them, shared what you had, and they dogged you out. They got in front of other people and acted like they know you. They took your stuff and made other stuff and joined in with other people and completely left you out after all you did for them. Husbands and wives who feel betrayed. Oh, you thought you were the only one, the shame of it all. I'm the only one. And Jesus got betrayed by not one disciple, but 2. The other one just got 30 pieces of silver. He had the wrong understanding. He thought, oh, let's get this thing going now. We got to get these Romans out of our business. And so if he's the leader there, he's moving too slow. Let me see if I can get him to move a little faster. Because I've seen his power. I know I've seen him heal the sick, and I've seen him raise the dead. Lazarus was dead. I've seen him put limbs back together. I've seen blinded eyes. Folks who couldn't hear can hear. Leprosy spots are gone. I know he has the power. Let me see if I can hurry this process up so the Romans can get up out of here. And if I'll take that money. I'll take that money, and so now he gonna move now. I watch it. He just gonna go boom. Everything gonna go. Everything gonna get straightened out. I see the power that he has. I'm trying to help him out, and so betraying Jesus. And Peter, the one who said, "You are Christ." You thought you were the only one that got betrayed. Beloved, it ain't easy, but I'm going to tell you for to be your kid. You got to learn how to love the kid. You got to love past the betrayal. Oh, it's going to take a little time.
Amen.
Because it hurts. But the first thing you got to do is admit that you got hurt. What? You got to admit that you got stoned. You opened your heart to somebody and they made it. And once you let that out, your healing can begin. Yeah, betrayal. You ain't the only one. And so Jesus knows all of our weaknesses. He knows all of our troubles. He knows, he collects our tears. He holds us in the hollow of his arm. And he says, now I have gotten up to rise. Because you are not the only one. Let's close. Father, we want to thank you today for helping us to know that we really are not the only one. That Jesus has been through far more than we'll ever go through, but he did it just for us so that we might rise and rise with power and reign with him in the kingdom that is to come. Now give us courage, give us strength, transform us into the greater that God already had for us. And we'll be careful, God, for all these things to give your name the glory. It's in Jesus' name that we pray.